The word evil often conjures images of cinematic villains, dark alleyways, or overt acts of violence. We are conditioned to look for monsters that roar, yet the most insidious form of malevolence is quiet. It is the darkness that smiles, the malice that hides behind a handshake, and the cruelty cloaked in carefully curated social graces. We do not define this evil easily, yet our instincts are primal. We know it when we feel it. It is a chill down the spine, a sudden heaviness in the air, a visceral recoil of the soul. However, the most dangerous moment in any relationship with a toxic or malevolent individual is not when they are hiding, but when they realize you have found them out. There is a specific, terrifying clarity that occurs when the mask slips. You see the machinery behind the smile. You recognize the calculation behind the kindness, and crucially, they see you seeing them. When an evil person realizes you have deciphered their code, they do not retreat in shame. They do not apologize. They do not seek redemption. Instead, they shift. They evolve. They go on the offensive, not necessarily with fists, but with a psychological warfare designed to confuse, intimidate, and ultimately regain control. To navigate this treacherous terrain, we must look through the lens of Stoic philosophy, not to fight fire with fire, but to find the unshakable rock of our own character amidst their storm. The first indication that the dynamic has changed is rarely something said aloud, it is felt. We exist in a sea of frequencies, and human beings are profound transmitters of energy. When a manipulative person realizes their cover is blown, their internal state shifts from performance to preservation, and that shift emits a vibration that is impossible to ignore. You may have walked into a room and felt the temperature drop, not physically, but emotionally. A person who was once warm and effusive suddenly feels cold, jagged, and predatory. This is not your imagination, it is your instinct, your primitive survival mechanism, screaming that the predator has locked eyes with you. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us that we are not disturbed by things themselves, but by the views we take of them. However, in this context, the view is an accurate reading of reality. The discomfort you feel is data. When they know you know, their energy becomes invasive. Their questions, once seemingly polite, now feel like interrogations. Their gaze, once friendly, feels like surveillance. They are testing the perimeter of your awareness, trying to gauge exactly how much you know and how much of a threat you pose to their carefully constructed reality. This vibration is a weapon intended to unsettle you. If they can make you anxious, they can make you doubt your own perception. They want you to think, "Am I imagining this?" But the Stoic stands firm in the knowledge that intuition is the soul's logic. You are not imagining the darkness, you are merely finally seeing it without the filter of their deception. Once the vibration shifts, the verbal machinery kicks into high gear. A defining characteristic of malevolence is an allergy to the truth. When a normal person is caught in a lie, they may feel shame or an urge to confess. When a toxic person is exposed, they treat the truth as a virus that must be eradicated. They do not admit, they weave.
The lie is no longer a tool for gain. It becomes a fortress for defense. If you uncover a specific deceit, they will not address it. Instead, they will construct a new lie to cover the old one, and then a third to support the second. It becomes a labyrinthine structure of fabrication. As Epictetus noted, man cannot learn what he thinks he already knows. Similarly, a liar cannot find the truth when their entire existence depends on the fabrication. They spin stories that are dizzying in their complexity. If you catch them stealing credit, they invent a narrative where they were the victim of miscommunication. If you catch them in betrayal, they fabricate a scenario where they were protecting you. This is gaslighting in its purest form. They are attempting to overwrite your memory with their fiction. The danger here is getting sucked into the debate. You cannot argue with someone who rejects the premise of reality. The Stoic response is to realize that their lies are not about you. They are the desperate scramble of a drowning ego. To engage with the lie is to step into their web. To stand outside it, observing their frantic weaving with detachment, is the only way to remain free. Perhaps the most cruel tactic deployed when the mask falls is the intellectual assault. Evil does not like to feel small, so it strives to make everything around it microscopic. When they realize you see through them, they will attempt to dismantle your confidence by making you feel stupid for ever having trusted them, or, paradoxically, for doubting them. They employ a rhetoric of condescension. You might share a hurt caused by their actions, and they will retort with, "Why didn't you see that coming?" Or, "You're being hysterical, it's not that deep." They twist the knife by suggesting that your pain is a result of your own intellectual failing or emotional fragility. It is a preemptive strike against your credibility. If they can make you feel small, ashamed, or incompetent, you are less likely to have the strength to expose them to others. This is where the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius becomes a shield. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Their insults, their mockery, and their attempts to humiliate you are outside events. They are noise. They only become damage if you open the gates of your mind and let them in. The toxic individual wants you to internalize their voice. They want you to question your worth. By observing their cruelty as a symptom of their sickness rather than a judgment of your value, you render their weapon useless. When a toxic person realizes they have lost control of you, their immediate fear is that they will lose control of how others perceive them. They know that you hold the truth, and the truth is dangerous to a reputation built on sand. Thus, they launch a preemptive public relations campaign. You will notice a sudden jarring shift in their public persona. The person who has been privately cruel to you will suddenly become a saint in the public eye. They will perform acts of charity, speak loudly about their morals, and craft a new narrative of their life, one where they are the hero, or often the martyr. They are dyeing the soul of the collective with a new color, hoping to drown out the gray truth you discovered.
This new reputation is often accompanied by a smear campaign against you, though it is rarely direct. It is subtle. They paint themselves as the benevolent guide who tried to help you, the troubled or confused friend. They poison the well so that if you ever do speak the truth, you have already been discredited. This behavior is infuriating. It screams of injustice. But the Stoic remains unmoved by the applause or the jeers of the crowd. The Stoic knows that reputation is an external indifferent. It is uncontrollable and fleeting. Let them dance, let them perform. The truth has a buoyancy. Eventually, it always rises to the surface. You do not need to scream to be heard. You simply need to outlast the performance. As the dynamic crumbles, the transactional nature of the relationship becomes glaringly obvious. When you were blind to their nature, they may have feigned friendship, bombarding you with attention. But the moment the jig is up, they vanish. They are like phantoms that only materialize when there is energy to feed on. You will find that when you are in a crisis, they are unreachable. When you need support, they are busy. Yet when the water's calm and they need something, validation, resources, or just a chaotic diversion, they reappear as if nothing happened. They bank on the human desire for connection and closure. They return with a smile, ignoring the previous tension, acting as though the relationship is pristine. This coming and going is a test of your boundaries. They are checking to see if the door is still unlocked.
A Stoic recognizes this for what it is, slavery to utility. They are not friends, they are users. To expect a fig tree to produce olives is foolish, Marcus Aurelius would say. Similarly, to expect a parasitic personality to offer genuine support is to deny reality. Their absence is not a loss, it is a liberation. When they disappear, do not chase them. When they return, do not open the door. When all else fails, when the lies are debunked, the intimidation falls flat, and the charm wears off, evil retreats into the sanctuary of the idiot. They play dumb. They act as though they have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. I didn't know that hurt you. I had no idea that was the rule. Why didn't you tell me sooner? This feigned ignorance is a calculated move to shift the burden of responsibility back onto the victim. Suddenly, you are not the person who was wronged. You are the person who failed to communicate. You are the one who didn't provide enough guidance to this poor, oblivious soul. It forces you to explain the basics of human decency to an adult, an exhausting exercise that drains your resolve. They cast themselves as the victim of their own innocence, and you as the persecutor who expects too much. This is a trap. It is designed to engage your empathy and make you lower your sword. Do not fall for it. Competent, functional adults know that betrayal hurts. They know that lying is wrong. They know that cruelty is unacceptable. Their ignorance is a mask. The Stoic response is silence. You do not owe an explanation to someone committed to misunderstanding you. You do not need to teach a lesson to someone who refuses to learn. All of these behaviors, the vibrations, the lies, the rebranding, the gaslighting, converge on a singular goal: manipulation. When evil knows you have figured it out, it knows it can no longer control you through deception, so it attempts to control you through dependency and confusion. They want to pull the strings of your psyche. They want to isolate you, making you feel that they are the only ones who truly get you, even as they abuse you. They might switch tactics rapidly, one moment praising you, the next tearing you down, creating an intermittent reinforcement loop that is addictive and destabilizing. They want you to feel that you are incapable of navigating life without their help or their insight, even though their insight is poison. They weave a narrative where you are the broken one and they are the glue holding you together. It is a soft, suffocating form of imprisonment. So how do we confront this darkness? How do we stand against a force that hides in plain sight and twists reality? We do not fight it on its own terms. We do not enter the labyrinth of lies. We do not engage in the theater of their public relations. We turn inward. Stoicism teaches us that our fortress is the mind. We strip the evil person of their power by stripping our reaction of emotion. We observe them clinically. We hear the strange vibration, not as a threat, but as a revelation of their character. We watch the smear campaign, not with anger, but with the pity one feels for a bad actor in a tragic play. The moment you realize someone is manipulative or malevolent, you have achieved the greatest victory, the return of your own sight. Knowledge is your weapon. Your calm is your shield. When they realize you have figured them out, they will escalate, they will writhe, and they will try to drag you back into the dark. But you must stand firm in the light of your own truth. Evil relies on your confusion. It feeds on your fear. It requires your participation to exist in your life. By refusing to play the role they have cast for you, by maintaining a stoic indifference to their machinations, you do not just survive them, you transcend them. You become the one thing they fear most, a person who cannot be controlled, who sees the truth, and who is unafraid to walk away from the darkness and into the light of their own peace.